Spring break was supposed to be a week of freedom. No classes, no stress. Just laughter, cheap drinks, and bonfires under the stars. We thought renting a secluded cabin in the Smoky Mountains was the perfect plan. Far from crowds, noise, and adult supervision. We thought the isolation would be the best part. We were wrong. The moment we arrived, we realized something wasn't right. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was watching us. The trees didn't sway. They shivered. And the cabin? It didn't feel empty. Because it wasn't. It was Leah's idea to rent the cabin. "Come on," she said. "One last trip before we graduate. One for the books." So, she found a place online, rustic, tucked deep in the woods, and ridiculously cheap. Off-grid, the listing said, but it had enough solar power for lights and Wi-Fi. We were sold. There were 5 of us. Me, Leah, my best friend Marcus, his girlfriend Tasha, and Sam, my roommate, quiet, awkward, always filming everything with his old camcorder. Leah called us her spring break crew. We packed the car, filled a cooler with snacks and booze, and drove 6 hours into the mountains, laughing the whole way. The last stretch was a winding dirt road, surrounded by thick forest. No signs, no cell signal. When the trees finally opened, we saw the cabin. 2 stories, aged wood, a wraparound porch, and a slanted roof like it was leaning forward. There was something strange about it, though. Not creepy exactly, but off, like it had been waiting. We stepped inside. The air was stale, thick with the smell of dust and something metallic. The kind of smell you can't quite place but makes your stomach tighten. The cabin was old but well kept. Antlers mounted on walls, faded curtains, a stone fireplace, and an upstairs loft. It looked like a postcard from the 70s. Creepy in a cute way, Tasha joked, and we all laughed, except Sam. He kept filming, silent, as if trying to capture something the rest of us couldn't see. We unpacked, chose our rooms, and popped open beers. By nightfall, the fire was roaring, music playing through a Bluetooth speaker, and we were dancing barefoot on creaky wooden floors. It felt like the spring break we wanted, until Leah went to the kitchen to get more ice. She didn't scream. Not loud, anyway. Just a soft gasp. Enough for us to hear over the music. We all turned. She was standing by the freezer, staring at the open back door. "I thought you shut that," she said. "I did," I replied, confused. She looked pale. "Then why is it open again?" I walked over and pushed the door shut. The wind, I told myself. Just the wind. But that night, none of us slept well. Around 2 a.m., I heard footsteps above me. Slow, deliberate. The loft was empty. Leah was staying down on the main floor with me. I assumed it was Marcus getting up to use the bathroom. But when I stepped into the hallway, I saw Marcus and Tasha's door still closed, and no light under it. Then I saw Sam, standing at the top of the stairs, in the dark, holding his camcorder. "What are you doing?" I asked. He didn't answer for a moment. "I heard something up here," he whispered. "Voices." I went up and looked around with him, but nothing was there. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling we were being watched. The next morning, Sam showed me the footage he'd taken during the night. Most of it was grainy, unfocused. But at one point, the lens caught something, a brief flicker of a figure in the loft, just beyond the railing. A shape, no features, no movement, just standing there. We told the others, but Marcus brushed it off. "Probably just a shadow. You guys are freaking yourselves out." Tasha nodded. "Yeah, or one of you set it up for fun." Sam and I didn't argue, but we both knew that thing in the footage wasn't either of us. Later that day, we explored the woods behind the cabin. The trees stretched endlessly, knotted and thick, their branches curling like fingers. We found a stream, mossy rocks, even an old rusted swing set deep in the trees, too far from any path. "Someone used to live back here," Leah muttered, pushing the swing. Creaked once, then stopped on its own. Back at the cabin, things started going wrong. Our food went bad. All of it. The fridge was running, but everything smelled rotten. Then the lights began to flicker, even though the solar battery was still charged. At night, we'd hear knocks on the walls. Inside, not outside. Sam began sleepwalking. Twice, I caught him trying to open the front door in the middle of the night, eyes blank. And each morning, we'd find the back door open again, no matter how tightly we locked it. On the third day, Leah woke up screaming. There were scratches on her arm, 3 thin red lines from her shoulder to her wrist. Too neat, too perfect to be from a fall or accident. We wanted to leave. The group was tense, no more laughter, no more music. But Marcus was stubborn. "This place is just old," he snapped. "It's messing with our heads. Let's not ruin the trip over some creaky floorboards and bad lighting." But Sam was pale. He hadn't spoken much since the second night. "There's something in here," he whispered that evening. I saw it again, through the camera, just standing at the edge of the loft. We all gathered around the small screen to watch. There it was, clearer this time. The figure, human-shaped, faceless, just behind the banister, staring down at us as we sat by the fire. And none of us had noticed it in the moment. We slept in the same room that night. 5 sleeping bags laid out in the living room. We locked every door and window, shut the blinds, and left a lantern on. At 3:12 a.m., the lantern flickered out. I was awake. I don't know why, but my eyes snapped open at that exact second. The room was black. I reached for my phone to use its flashlight, but it was dead. Then I heard breathing. Not from anyone next to me. From above. Slow, ragged, like someone struggling to inhale. I looked up. At the top of the stairs, a figure stood in the dark. Faceless. Still. And watching. The next morning, Leah was gone. Her sleeping bag was empty, her boots missing. No note, no signs of struggle. Just gone. We searched the woods for hours. Screamed her name until our throats were raw. Nothing. When we came back inside, Sam's camcorder was sitting in the middle of the floor. It was on. The footage showed Leah getting up sometime before dawn. Her eyes were wide open, but she didn't look awake. She walked to the back door, opened it, and a hand, thin, pale, with too many fingers, reached in and took hers. She didn't scream. She didn't resist. She just followed it into the dark. We came to that cabin for laughter, for freedom. Spring break was supposed to be an escape. But now Leah was gone. Not missing. Taken. Something inside the cabin had lured her out. Something inhuman. We saw it on Sam's camcorder. The pale hand. The way she followed without a sound. We tried to tell ourselves we could still get out. But when we stepped outside to find help, we realized the truth. The woods weren't just surrounding the cabin. They were closing in. Marcus was the first to snap. "No, I don't believe it," he said after we watched the footage again. "That's not real. Someone's screwing with us. It has to be." Tasha grabbed his arm, whispering, "You saw it too. You have to believe it." "I don't," he growled. Leah left. Maybe she had a panic attack. Maybe she wanted to be alone. No one walks into the forest barefoot in 35-degree weather at 4 in the morning. I shot back. "You saw the hand. You saw it take her." Marcus stared at me, breathing hard. Then he threw a chair across the room. "This is all some messed up prank." But none of us were laughing. We decided to search again. Not just the edge of the woods, deeper. Maybe Leah was still out there. Maybe we had time. We packed supplies, flashlights, a hunting knife we found in one of the kitchen drawers, and set off into the trees. We didn't go far before things got weird. It started with the sound. At first, it was just the wind in the trees. But then it became something else, soft whispers, coming from different directions. Every time we turned to find the source, it would stop, only to start again just ahead. It sounded like, "Leah, guys," she'd whisper. "I'm here. Please." But the voice was wrong. Too flat, too calm. It didn't rise, didn't tremble. It just repeated itself again and again like a looped recording. "Guys, I'm here. Please." Sam was filming the whole time, keeping the camcorder steady even as the light flickered through the trees. The path ahead twisted in ways that didn't make sense. We were walking in circles, but none of the trees looked familiar. We'd passed the same rock 3 times, and then suddenly we were knee-deep in marsh water where the ground had been dry a minute before. "I don't think this forest is real," Tasha whispered. She wasn't wrong. At one point, we stumbled into a clearing and found something we hadn't expected. A second cabin. It was identical to ours. Same porch, same windows, even the same split log firewood stacked neatly against the side. Except, it was rotting, like it had been abandoned for decades. We stood frozen. "Is this ours?" I asked. "No," Sam muttered, raising the camcorder. "I don't think it's ever been anyone's." Marcus approached the door and pushed it open with the knife drawn. It creaked, and a wave of cold air rushed out. Inside was dust, decay, and silence. Then Tasha screamed. We spun around and she pointed at the far wall. There, in smeared red handprints, was a single word. "Stay." We turned to leave, but the door was gone. Where it had been was now solid wall. No hinges, no handle. We weren't in a cabin anymore. The walls shifted as we moved. We'd enter one room, and when we turned back, the doorway behind us was gone. The windows showed nothing, just blackness, like staring into the void. We were being played with. Tasha was shaking. "We have to get out. This place isn't real. It's not alive, but it's thinking." Sam whispered, "It's a trap." And then we heard footsteps overhead. Heavy, slow. We looked up at the ceiling as the boards creaked above us, moving toward the stairs. Then it stopped. Sam raised his camera to the stairwell just as a face appeared. Not Leah's. It was pale, featureless. No eyes, no mouth, just a smooth stretch of skin. It tilted its head slowly, like a dog hearing a strange sound. Then it stepped down. We ran. The next few minutes were a blur of screaming, crashing through warped rooms, windows that led nowhere, doors that opened into pitch black. Eventually, we found a crawl space beneath a loose floorboard. Marcus yanked it up, and one by one, we dropped into the dark. The passage beneath was cold, narrow, and smelled like rotting earth. We crawled for what felt like hours until a wooden panel gave way, and we spilled out onto leaves and dirt. We were back in the forest. The cabin was gone. Not our cabin, the rotted one we'd entered. Behind us, there was nothing but trees. None of us said anything. We just started walking. Took us another 2 hours to find our way back to the real cabin. The sun was beginning to dip, casting long shadows across the clearing. But something had changed. The front door was wide open. We stepped inside, and immediately knew we weren't alone. The fireplace was lit, but we hadn't started a fire that morning. And on the mantel was Leah's phone, still unlocked. The screen displayed a message typed in her notes app. "Don't trust your eyes." Sam checked the camcorder. The battery, which should have died hours ago, was full. He rewound to the moment we entered the cabin and paused. Leah was standing by the fireplace, looking at us, but in reality, she wasn't there. "Guys," Sam whispered, "we're not in the same place." Tasha began crying quietly. "What does that mean?" "It means we made it back to the cabin, but not the same version. There are layers here, like overlapping dimensions. We fell through one, maybe more. I think Leah's trapped between them." I shook my head. "This isn't a glitch. This is intentional. Something is doing this to us." Marcus picked up Leah's phone and stared at the message. "Then we find it. We end it." He stormed upstairs before we could stop him. Seconds later, we heard a crash. When we reached him, he was standing in Leah's old room, panting. The mirror on the wall was shattered. Blood was running down his knuckles. "She was in the mirror," he said. "She was screaming. I saw her. She was pounding on the other side." I walked over to the shards. In one of the pieces, I saw my reflection. Only it wasn't moving with me. It stood perfectly still, head tilted. Then it smiled. We boarded up the windows that night, even though we knew it wouldn't matter. Whatever was hunting us wasn't physical. It lived in reflections, in whispers, in shadows cast by firelight. Sleep came in uneasy waves. I woke up around 2:30 a.m. to the sound of humming. Soft, childlike. I sat up. The others were still asleep. I followed the sound into the kitchen. The hum was coming from the pantry. I opened it slowly. Inside was Leah, Eyes black, head tilted, lips moving in time with the tune. She didn't blink, didn't stop. I slammed the door and screamed. When the others ran in, I opened it again to show them. It was empty. Sam's camcorder glitched, screen flashing, colors bleeding. We watched the footage later. It didn't show Leah. It showed me, standing in the pantry, humming to myself, staring blankly ahead. That was the moment I realized. This thing, whatever it is, wants to divide us. It mimics us, wears our faces, lures us into traps using our guilt, our fear. Leah was the first. She won't be the last. As we sat in the cabin, fire crackling low, the back door creaked open again. And for the first time, we didn't shut it. Because I think it's coming either way. And maybe, just maybe, we need to go to it. The cabin was no longer just a place. It was a trap, a predator, a mirror. It reflected our fears, wore our faces, whispered our names in the voice of the missing. Leah was gone, but she was everywhere. In the woods, in the pantry, in the mirror shards scattered on the bedroom floor. And now it wasn't just after her. It wanted us too. We should have run. But something had changed. We weren't sure we could. The next morning was silent. No birds, no wind. Even the trees didn't move. We sat around the cold fireplace, too scared to speak. Each of us trapped in our own spiraling thoughts. Marcus had stopped looking at us. He stared at the boarded-up windows like he expected something or someone to come bursting through at any moment. Tasha was scribbling in her notebook, pages covered with strange phrases Leah used to say, almost like she was trying to decode something. And Sam hadn't spoken since we reviewed the camcorder footage. He kept rewinding to the clip where I stood in the pantry humming, even though I knew I never did that. I watched myself on the tiny screen, eyes lifeless, face blank. He looked up at me once and whispered, "Are you sure you're still you?" By mid-afternoon, we heard movement in the attic. We'd avoided it until now. Sealed shut, covered in cobwebs, the wooden hatch blending into the ceiling above the upstairs hallway. But now, something was shifting above us. Slow, dragging footsteps, then tapping, like fingernails on wood. Marcus grabbed the hunting knife again, eyes wild. "We end this." "No," Tasha said, standing suddenly. "We don't confront it. That's what it wants. We're being led." "Then what?" "Wait for it to kill us one by one." She looked at the note Leah left on her phone again. "Don't trust your eyes. Maybe we need to stop looking at it and start looking through it." She explained her theory. This entity, this force, existed somewhere between reflection and thought. Mirrors, cameras, glass, it used those to bleed into our reality. It didn't just imitate, it learned. The more we watched it, the better it got. "So, we blind ourselves?" Sam said quietly. "No," she said. "We just stopped believing it." That night, we made a plan. One final attempt to reach Leah, or whatever remained of her. But not through cameras or mirrors or the woods. Through memory. Tasha believed if we returned to the exact moment of her disappearance, recreated it down to the details, we might reopen the rift. "The forest took her," she said. "But it's more than just trees. It's layered. It's intelligent. It only opened because something in her invited it." "Then we do the same," I said. But something felt wrong, like we were giving it permission again. Still, it was the only shot we had. We waited until 3 a.m. Sam brought the camcorder. Marcus carried the knife. Tasha clutched Leah's old hoodie, freshly washed but still faintly scented with her perfume. We walked into the woods. No flashlights, only moonlight. No speaking, only silence. We followed the path Leah had taken, or at least what we thought was her path. The trees grew tighter. The air grew colder. Then we saw it. The pale hand, extending from the base of a tree, beckoning. Only this time, it wasn't Leah who followed. It was Marcus. Before we could stop him, Marcus stepped forward. The hand slipped back into the earth. The moment his foot crossed an invisible line, the trees closed behind him. He was gone. Sam ran forward, screaming Marcus's name, but Tasha yanked him back. "No, that's what it wants. One at a time. like dominoes. We turned back toward the cabin, but it wasn't there anymore. In its place was a wall of trees, growing fast, branches twisting together like fingers. We were cut off, trapped, and that's when the voices started. They came from all directions. Not just Leah's, not just Marcus's, all of us. I heard my own voice calling out, my own footsteps running just ahead, my own laughter echoing through the branches. Sam dropped the camcorder and fell to his knees. "We're already dead." "No," Tasha whispered. "We're not dead. We're mirrored." We ran blindly, through vines that reached for us, past shadows that pulsed and shifted, until finally we broke into another clearing, and saw it, a ring of mirrors, dozens, maybe hundreds, forming a perfect circle in the center of the woods. Each one flickered with a different scene. Leah, standing in the snow, lips blue, eyes black. Marcus, laughing as he stabbed something just out of frame. Me, walking into the pantry again, humming louder this time. Sam, holding a knife to his own throat, grinning. Tasha, burning the cabin down. They weren't visions. They were options. This thing was showing us the futures we could have, and the one it wanted us to choose. Sam whispered, "If we pick the wrong one, it becomes real." Tasha stepped into the circle. Instantly, all the mirrors turned to reflect her alone. Dozens of versions of her, crying, screaming, laughing manically, turning to ash, running in endless loops. She looked at one, just one, Tasha holding Leah's hand, walking out of the forest together. Smiling, she raised her hand and touched the glass. It shattered. Light erupted. The mirrors exploded outward in a wave of force, knocking us all to the ground. When we looked up, Leah was there, standing where the mirror had been. Her skin was cold. Her eyes were hollow, but it was her. At least, we hoped it was. We didn't speak until we got back to the cabin, which had returned, standing alone in the clearing, exactly as we'd left it. Marcus was there too, sitting on the porch, covered in dirt, staring into nothing. He didn't say a word when we hugged him, didn't speak as we packed our bags, didn't even flinch when Sam burned the camcorder in the fire pit. The next morning we left. We never spoke about what happened in the forest again. Leah wouldn't talk about where she went or what she saw. Sometimes we'd catch her staring into mirrors for a little too long. Marcus never smiled again. His eyes stayed distant. Tasha moved away. She mailed me her notebook, full of strange diagrams and theories. She never responded to my calls. And me? Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, humming the same tune from the pantry. And in the dark glass of my bedroom window, I can still see her. Not Leah, me, smiling back.